Developing right now, Apple refusing to comply with a federal judge's order to help the FBI crack into the phone of one of the San Bernardino terrorists who massacred 14 innocent people. Fox News correspondent Adam Housley is in our West Coast bureau. Adam.
Yeah, Greta, you know, this is something we talked about with you actually a few weeks ago about how the FBI was having trouble getting into certain phones, specifically one. Now we know that one phone is an iPhone, and what's interesting, it's something that we saw at least on an evidence list the day after the attack. In fact, we talked about it on the record. I'll show you a picture that I showed you back then. I'm going to show it to you again now. This is actually the evidence list taken from the Lexus in front of the terrorist's home. You can see the first thing there highlighted in yellow says Apple iPhone. It's that iPhone that's the center of this controversy. Basically what happened is this. The investigators say they can get some information from Verizon, which is the company the phone was registered with, and the phone was given to the terrorist, by the way, by the county of San Bernardino, so it was actually a public phone. But they can't get all the information on there. And they said the only way that can happen is if they get access. They're not getting access. Apple won't give it to them. And as you might imagine, some people are very upset about it.
They need access, and frankly, Apple is stopping that access, and they're going to have the blood of dead Americans on their hands. It's wrong. We're at war. We need this information. Who are they to say that we can't get it? They need to give it, and it should happen.
Now, in response, Apple CEO Tim Cook says he will fight the court order. He issued a statement that says, in part, quote, while we believe the FBI's intentions are good, it would be wrong for the government to force us to build a back door into our products. Ultimately, we fear that this demand would undermine the very freedoms and liberty our government is meant to protect. Now, again, the investigators say they're not asking for special access here in the sense they don't want it to be across the board. In fact, it seems like, at least according to the FBI investigators I've spoken to, who did not help write this, but they did help obviously give the information to their superiors, the fact is they want just Apple to go in, get the information, and give it to them. They say it's an effort and an issue of national security. They believe that this phone is absolutely connected to others who communicated with both the terrorists in San Bernardino, Greta, and that's why this comes down to this. And a lot of people do believe this may be getting a little bit broader than it needs to be. But we will see. And what's also interesting about all of this is some legal experts believe the new court, the replacement for Justice Scalia, might eventually decide all this unless the court of public opinion comes first. Greta?
Which is a good idea if the High Court does decide this, because my suspicion, Adam, is that, look, there's not any national security rush because the FBI has waited 2 months to do this. This massacre occurred in December. But you get a court order, they got a court order, and now you keep appealing to the Supreme Court. We go through the process, and ultimately Apple is ordered to do this, and Apple will at that point comply, right? I mean, it's like they're going to comply with the final order on this.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, you would think they would. It does obviously help their business plan because then people realize how tough it is to get into their phones in some ways. I will say this, Greta, two things. One, I know the FBI has been working on this with Apple for some time. So it came out today because obviously, or yesterday, because obviously they got to the end of the road where they just weren't getting any help and it wasn't going to happen.
Adam, thank you. Of course, if it were an emergency, they would have gotten an emergency order. But anyway, Adam, thank you.